So now we've got another beer from Roosters. It says My Name Is All. It's brewed with a range of American hops. So we've got Cascade, Centennial, Mosaic, Nelson Sauvin. These are the sort of typical floral American hops, resinous hops that we're seeing more and more of these days. This time it's being fermented using a Norwegian very quick fermenting yeast that they call Kwiek. So what we're looking for in this beer is that typical sort of resiny, floral note that you're going to get from the American hops, the Cascades and the Centennials. I'm already getting a nose of that. It's almost like grapefruit and pine. The yeast, the Kwiek yeast, is a fast fermenting yeast. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of character we're going to get from that. 4 different hop varieties in this, and we're using that wonderful Yorkshire water as well and some malt. So yeah, it's a stronger beer. It's at 6.3%. It's an IPA, so we're looking for that sort of typical India Pale Ale strength. The history of the IPA, I'm sure you know, is that these were beers that were brewed to withstand travel from the UK to India back in the days of the British Raj. They didn't brew very much beer out in India. The large brewers in this country were brewing India Pale Ales that would ship out to India and would survive that travel. So, My Name Is All. Let's see what this is like. As I say, on the nose, it's mango, grapefruit, and there is a sort of resiny character to the back end of it. But yeah, the hops just batter you in the face. You get you can taste the alcohol, the higher alcohol content, up at 6 over 6% alcohol. But there's that fruitiness there, but it's got more of a sort of a pine resin sort of back end to it. It had that traditional sort of hop bitterness that you get, and the fruit and the floral notes, and it's a little bit more muted. Very pleasant drink. Again, IPAs at sort of 6%. They're not the sort of thing you're going to drink gallons and gallons of, but it's a nice beer to sort of sit down in an evening, watch the world go by, light your fire pit, sit out in the backyard as the sun goes down, waiting for all the garden lights to come on. Of course, it's just chilling out. But yeah, it's a very pleasant drink. Certainly go for it again. Say, I'm not going to get into the game of giving these things marks out of 10 or out of 5 or whatever. That's not what this is about. This is about tasting the beers. Is there ever such a thing as a bad beer? Yeah, there is. There are bad beers, and if I come across one that's a bad beer, I'll say it's a bad beer. But up to now, nothing that I've had from these small craft brewers has come across as being a bad beer. I'm an old traditionalist. I do like the idea of keeping real ales, these beers that you ferment and you put them in a cask and you serve them from a cask. You can equally have bottle conditioned real ales, but let's be honest, we're realists here. Beer drinking isn't being done in the volumes that it used to be. And if we're going to keep this as a craft industry in this country, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at some of the craft beers. These are going into cans without being pasteurised. They're not being boiled to death and then artificially carbonated. They do get some carbonation before they go into the can, but these are nearer to being real ales in a can than something like your Stones' Best Bitter. And I grew up drinking Stones out of the cask. And it's sadly missed. It is a beer that's sadly missed. But the craft beers, I've yet to find a bad one. Honestly, I've yet to find a bad one. I found some that I didn't actually, I didn't like particularly they weren't to my taste, but that doesn't mean that they were a bad beer. This one certainly a nice one. It's a good beer. It's one I would certainly go for again. I suspect it's one of the ones that Roosters are going to do in small batches, and that's the delight of the craft brewing industry. They make small batches of beer that you catch it whilst it's there, and once it's gone, and you look back on it fondly. This is a really nice drink. It's an IPA, classic IPA, and well worth it. Cheers.